What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 100, and yes, today we are returning with a big 30-minute thank you special featuring 12 big games as we kickstart Season 2 with AC Milan, starting off with a 100% winning record, 3 wins from 3 in the Serie A, and of course our last game being the Champions League group opening victory over Antonio Conte's Spurs. So yes, in today's episode, 12 games, half an hour special. I really hope you enjoyed this long thank you special, and you know, since I began doing FIFA Career Mode saves on YouTube, it's always been a staple of my series. When we reach a milestone of 50 or 100 episodes, I'd always do a special thank you, just to say, you know, I appreciate all the support, all the love you guys have shown me since the very beginning, for still being here. I hope this episode is my small way of showing you how much I appreciate your support, because I say it all the time as we open up today's episode with Spezia here at the San Siro, aiming to keep our winning run going. Roberto Gutierrez, what a start! 8 goals in the Serie A already. I say it all the time, man, without your support I would not be here. I mean, it really is just as simple as that, you know. Without your support, without your love, I wouldn't be on YouTube. So nah, seriously, thank you so much, and I really hope you guys enjoy this special thank you episodes in what has been a fantastic career mode, which I've loved from our very humble beginnings, taking over Brentford, a newly promoted side, taking them all the way to the treble 5 years later, and now moving on to the Serie A with Milan. And the story is still far from finished. There's still so much more to do in this career mode, I'm sure, including, well, hopefully, restoring Milan to European glory. Anyway, yeah, for the first game of today's episode, first of 12, we will take on Spezia here, again on the back of the win against Spurs, our first Champions League game, being a victory against Antonio Conte's side. Taking on Spezia, Gutierrez opened the scoring. This is just one of those games where really from start to finish are dominated, and then on the hour mark here, got that second goal to give us some breathing room, and I love the goal as well. Obviously, we signed him in the summer from West Ham. It took about 5 attempts to finally get him, but Nicola Ravella, if you didn't see it first time, very rarely do I try and knock the ball around an opponent and then go around the other side. If you double tap the R1 button, for those wondering, that's one of the ways you can do it. Double tap the R1 button, the player will knock the ball on and then try and make a juke sort of move, if you will, likened to moves you see in the NFL. It's very rare you can do it against the AI because their defending is so good, but when it does come off, it looks incredible, not just when it results in a goal, but just in general. Even so, Ravella's first goal since joining us from West Ham gave us a 2-0 victory there, as we made it 4 wins from 4 in the Serie A. And you know, I've mentioned that, you know, obviously last season we got off to a tough start with AC Milan. In fact, we had a slip up on match day 2. And I mentioned it, whilst we did really well to chip away at the deficit we had, Inter Milan got off to a red hot start. At one point they were like 10 points clear. We did so well to get within touching distance with them last year. And if you remember, it was the Milan derby when we had the potential chance of catching up and leapfrogging them, but we needed to beat them, and we lost. And once we lost, it was all over. It was the start to the season I think really cost us more than anything. So this season, I'm taking that lesson and I'm learning from it. We can't afford to stumble out of the blocks this year. We need to be in red hot form. So for our following game, Venezia away from home in Venice, after Timmermans gave us the opener very early on, I was going to show no mercy. 11 minutes in, we were 2 goals up. It's El Capitano doing it once again. Gutierrez with our second goal, going straight to the away fans there. And the onslaught just continued. A few minutes later, won the ball straight back. Going on the break, Tielemans released Hudson-Odoi. I see Gutierrez running through the middle. It's a great little flick off to Timmermans. A good through ball to Keane, and that makes it 3. All front 4 get involved in the goal there in a really solid counter-attack. So 16 minutes in, we're up 3-0 on Venezia. But I'm still showing absolutely no mercy because, again, I really do feel this season we've got to be ruthless. Great camera angle. We've got to be ruthless, man. I've got to turn into sort of like a villain this season, do you know what I mean? And not play, I don't know, conservative at times, but just go for it, like every single game, knowing how tight the division could be. We know Juve and Inter both getting off to really good starts this season. If we are going to be Serie A champions, which is what the board want after we fell short last season, finishing runners-up, I've got to go for it, man. I've got to be in attack mode right from the very first game. We have been so far. 22 minutes into the game. It's Moyes' 3rd in 4, and we're 4-0 up away in Venice. And I was thinking, okay, I need to get Hudson-Odoi a goal. You know, 3 of our front 4 have scored. I need to get Callum a goal as well. Offload the ball Gutierrez here, but Hudson-Odoi fires it wide as it was still 4-0. I was really trying. At this point, it was like everyone else of our front 4 had scored. I need to get Hudson-Odoi a goal, just couldn't get him one. And then later on, I thought this was hilarious. 12 minutes to go, 4-0, job's done, points are in the bag, and then... well, Venezia score a bit of a scrappy goal and then talk about, well, rubbing it in. And Tiste goes straight to the away fans and look at this, pointing to the crowd. What's he saying? I mean, fair play, man. Respect someone that can trash talk when you're 4-1 down. Do you know what I mean? It's 12 minutes to go. The game's done and you're trash talking the fans at that point. You gotta give it respect, man. Seriously, it's easy to trash talk when you're up by 15. Not so much when you're 4-1 down with 12 minutes to go in a game of football. You gotta respect that, man. Kind of reminded me of Russell Westbrook a couple years ago in the NBA playoffs bubble during the COVID season when he went to the bubble in Disneyland. And Westbrook was playing for the Rockets at the time. Ironically, now plays for the Lakers, the team he was facing. But they were like down by like 20-something points. And Westbrook was like trash talking the Lakers at that point. You got to give it respect, man. Seriously, you know the game's basically done, but you're still going at your opponents. But that was hilarious. Regardless, didn't stop the scoreline being so one-sided. 4-1 the final score, and the winning run continues. So going back to the San Siro for our 3rd game today, aiming to keep the streak going and keep the 100% start alive. 30 minutes into the game, we're 1-0 up through Roberto opening the scoring, and then Ramirez almost made it to Messi's regen, who I've mentioned before this season. It's a real dilemma for me with what to do with Messi's regen. Now, where you've got the regen of one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest player of all time, depending on who you rate the players at the top of the top, basically. It kind of feels like a waste having him on the bench when he's 19 years old and already 83/84 overall. But it's like our front 4 is so deadly. Callum on the right, Moyes on the left, and Timmerman supporting Gutierrez. Like, who do you drop? Like, seriously, who do you drop in that position? So, anyway, we're leading by a goal. Udinese would fight back, though. A bit of a scrappy goal, but they'll take it. It's 1-1. We didn't talk about scrappy goals. 5 minutes after the restart. I just brought Alessandro off the bench for more energy through the middle. And it was such a lucky goal, man, seriously. And I've mentioned it so many times. I know I sound like a broken record, but these sort of things are happening a lot more commonly in this year's FIFA. And it's one of the reasons why the games are so goal-fested. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many goals per game on 60 minutes because it just seems like everything's in your favour to either score or concede, you know? Lucky bounces, scrappy, deflected goals, they happen so frequently, but there was nothing lucky about the goal afterwards. 3 minutes later, after restoring our lead through Alessandro, it is Sol Ramirez, Messi's regen, who heads in our 3rd to make it 3-1, and again, the question marks over this guy. I just don't know what to do. 2 goals in 4. And I keep thinking if I am going to take someone out, it would probably be Callum Hudson-Odoi. But I really like Hudson-Odoi, you know, as Udinese go closer with 20 minutes to go. To be fair, in this game as well, I was pretty challenged. We might have made our 100% start continue, but I was pretty challenged in this game, to be fair to Udinese. This was not as routine as the stats suggested. One of those games where the stats were quite deceptive. This was actually quite even. But yeah, for Sol, 1 goal and 1 assist in this game. That's probably my big dilemma this season. You know, the selection dilemma of this year is who is going to be the guy that gets replaced for Sol Ramirez. Now, Moyes is off to a red-hot start. We could potentially say he's still technically playing out of position. He hasn't learnt it yet. Let's drop him to the bench as our backup striker for Roberto and have a change of heart and not necessarily abandon the project, but look to play him more often in his more regular position, I should say his original position. And then with Callum, you probably say, well, out of all the players we've got at the moment, is his shot here in our 4th game today away in Turkey against Basel Shahir in the 2nd game of the Champions League group stage. He's not got off to a great start this season. Out of the front 4 at the moment, you'd say he's probably the weak link, if he could even be considered a weak link based on how good he is. He's probably the one player out of the front 4 that's not indispensable, if you will. And then Timmermans, you could say, well, you know, he's a good young Belgian player. He's growing really quickly, 85 overall now, but I wouldn't be against putting him on the bench, stunting his development a little bit because Ramirez will have higher potential. Gutierrez, who of course scores the opening goal of the game, is the one indispensable member of our front 4, but it's just such a tricky decision because I don't want to waste Messi's regen's potential and ability as well. but I can't play a front five, can I? I mean, that's a bit too overkill. I know this is FIFA, but surely I can't play a front five and put Messi's regen somewhere and just have one holding midfielder, you know, protecting the back four. Surely I can't do that, surely. But even so, we beat Başakşehir away in Turkey by a goal to nil. It was a really scrappy game, I want to be fair as well. Did not play my best, but, you know, I mentioned it, the sign of a champion and the sign of a true winner is when they can emerge victorious when they haven't played especially well. I wasn't great against Udinese, but we still got to win by 3-1. Was very poor in Turkey, but still got to win by a goal to nil. See our fixtures for October. All these games coming in today's episode, including a big one there away against Cagliari, off to a good start. Atalanta also off to a good start at home. And Benfica away in Portugal in match day 3 of the Champions League. So yeah, big fixtures coming in October. And if we are to keep our 100% win growing, again, the two games we're looking at mostly are, again, Atalanta and Cagliari as well. Cagliari second place to start the season off, 4 points behind us, but off to a really good start this season. But still, for the first game of October, I've mentioned before, whenever you face former career mode sides, you've always got a bit of a soft spot for them. I've mentioned these guys a few times now. Torino, I did Torino career mode back in FIFA 15. It was one of my favourite foreign-based career modes. If you've never watched it before and you don't mind watching older versions of FIFA, I do recommend it. It got off to a really good start and it was just such a fun career mode, that one. I had so much fun with that one, and definitely a side I got a soft spot for now. But showing no mercy, despite the soft spot, taking them on first game of October, wanted to extend the winning run to 7 in this Serie A and keep it 100%. Took a very early 2-goal lead, first Timmermans, and then Keane scoring with a first touch. Didn't mean for that ball to find the back of the net initially. I wanted a first touch and then a finish, but instead he poked the ball in with his first touch to make it 2. Gutierrez could have made it 3 in the first half. Good save, kept it at 2-0. However, this was all one-way traffic from the very first whistle. Our last 2 games against Udinese and Başakşehir, whilst we got the wins, I still didn't play especially well. I wanted to change that, and like I said, I know that a sign of a champion is a guy that can win regardless of whether they've played well or not, but I still do want to play well. I still do want to assert my dominance. In this game, it was just all one-way traffic. Keane hit a barge past the hour mark, still 2-0, and 18 minutes to go, a chance to make it 3. Schneider, a brilliant first touch and free ball. That was excellent, and for Roberto as well. I find it so hard to, like, trick the goalkeeper like you used to be able to do in previous versions of FIFA. And I think I've mentioned it before, as we win the game convincingly by 3 goals still. This is a much better performance here after the past 2 were sort of scrappy wins, if you will. I find it much harder to trick the goalkeeper. In previous versions of FIFA, you could, you know, adopt a little skill move and it might throw them off balance, or, you know, rounding the goalkeeper, for example, I mentioned before. I don't do that very often now. Like, 1 goal in 50 might be rounding the goalkeeper, probably even less than that, to be fair, because it's such a more difficult thing to do. I think that's one thing I'm hoping that EA will look into a bit more as the years go by. Like, tricking the goalkeepers. What we've seen this year is that goalkeepers make mistakes a lot more often, and I like that as well, because I know I mention it all the time, I sound like a broken record, but it's realistic, and that's what you want. You want realistic gameplay, and when you try and skill the goalkeeper, it's a bit frustrating when they're sort of just standing there watching it happen like, yeah, whatever. Like, seriously, do you know what I mean? It doesn't bother or faze them one bit. Whereas in reality, you know, it might possibly throw them off balance a little bit. But even so, we won the game by 3-0, and that's now 7 wins from 7 to start the Serie A off. Following that, Sampdoria, San Siro returning back home, and I was thinking, okay, this is definitely a banker, but it didn't start off that way. We had 2 early chances, a great save, and then Brandon Williams, the former Red Devil, now in the Serie A, clearing a header off the lines. It was still 0-0. And it was still goalless until 20 minutes to go. A bit of skill by Roberto did see us trick a defender and win a penalty. You rarely win penalties against the AI on Ultimate these days. So I was thinking this might be the only one we get all season long. Roberto won it, Roberto took it, and Roberto scores it. I mean, come on, was it ever in doubt? Roberto smashes it home and makes it 1-0. Finally deadlock broken from the spot. In again what was a really scrappy game. Once more, just like in the games against Başakşehir and Udinese here at the San Siro as well, was not playing especially well, but Gutierrez's late penalty surely ensured we would get the win. Until we didn't. 5 minutes to go and I failed to clear a corner with sailmakers. Bonazzoli capitalises after the ball's thread through to him. And Sampdoria become the first team this season to stop us getting a win. Yes, the winning run ended in the Serie A. It's Sampdoria that do it. And you see the reaction from Gutierrez there as well. His penalty, I thought, won us the game. But instead, it was one of those familiar feelings where the AI score with their only shot in the match and ended up getting the point. And what's that saying I've been repeating quite a lot in this year's FIFA CM? Good is not good enough against the AI on Ultimate. And it's the truth. It really, really is. But it needs to be that way as well. You know, this is the hardest difficulty on the game. And by the way, I can just say real briefly as well, how great is it that the Estadio da Luz and also the Estadio Dragão are now in FIFA as well. These are two iconic Portuguese grounds from Benfica and FC Porto as well. Can I just say, long overdue? I mean, they're glorious stadiums. They really are. Aesthetically, they're so pleasing to look at. Great to see them add into FIFA this year. But yeah, it's true. And I know I've mentioned this many times before, but when you are playing on the hardest difficulty, it needs to be this way, because that's what the hardest difficulty should entail. You know, you should need to be challenged, and even when you're winning, you know, you need to play really at your game to make sure you get it. If you're not at your game, you might not get the luck and you might not get the rub of the green. The AI only need the one chance, and you know, they'll more often than not take it. I think it's a good thing as well. It can be really frustrating, don't get me wrong. And again, I didn't play especially well in that game. I played better than my opponents, but it's kind of, again, the way it needs to be. You know, I would definitely say so. Tough, frustrating, challenging draw to take that one, but just simply wasn't good enough. So following that, Wednesday night, travelling away from home, Portugal, match day 3, Champions League group stage. Won the first 2 games, great camera angle. Won the first 2 games, and I was thinking, okay, we beat Spurs at home, we beat Başakşehir away in Turkey, get a big win in this one, 9 points from 9, and get back to winning ways. And that draw against Sampdoria will feel like a distant memory. We took the lead in the first half, Roberto rolling through Callum as Hudson-Odoi makes it 1-0, and over a minute to go in a game where I felt I'd been in mostly control. Oh, wouldn't you just know, if all the players to get the goal, and listen, to be fair, I love these celebrations. They looked absolutely brilliant, especially at the new stadium in the game, the Estadio da Luz as well. João Mario, of all the players in that Benfica lineup to get the leveller with a minute to go, as I stormed down the tunnel, I was in no mood whatsoever to even walk away to the away fans there. João Mario, former Inter Milan midfielder, of all the players to score against us and find a leveller with, again, their only shot of the game. Just like against Sampdoria, I'm not going to sit there and tell you I dominated. I'm not going to sit there and tell you I had the best game of the season. It wasn't like that, but I certainly did enough to win. But conceding with the only shot on your goal, it's so frustrating. But I mention it, that is ultimate. So after back-to-back draws, we still lead the way in the Champions League group stage, but now only a point clear of Spurs. Heading into our following game here in the Serie A, back-to-back draws, Juventus in second now, breathing down our necks. Cagliari off to a great start this season, chasing a Champions League place. This was a massive game. We've shown that we're human. We're not indestructible, we're not invincible. Whilst we haven't tasted defeat yet, we tasted back-to-back draws in games we really should have won. So if Cagliari, desperate for a Champions League place, they saw this as a big chance to get a big 3 points, and I said, lads, we spent about, I don't even know how much money, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of £1 million assembling this squad. Come on now, it's time to sort this out. 10 minutes in, we would open the scoring, and it was a brilliant little team goal as well. Lovely worked passing move, everyone getting a touch of the ball, everyone getting involved. That was such a great little build up there. And of course, the guy that turns in from close range, well, it's now 13 goals in 9 games for Roberto Gutierrez. He won the Golden Boot in the Coppa Italia, the Serie A and the Europa League last season. He's not the reason we had a subpar season by our standards, but this season he's looking to get even better, and that's what the greats do. Even on the back of a really good season, they look to get better the following year. Roberto, 13 in 9. He's going for that Serie A goal scorer record. The record, for those curious, is 36. I believe it's jointly held in the Serie A as well, but it's 36 goals in a single season. Roberto is going for 37, and this year he's on pace to get that. So, yeah, we took the lead for Roberto, then Timmermans made it 2 early on into the second half, and in 53 minutes in here, still leading by 2-0. Theo Hernandez capitalises on a loose ball, storms down left-hand side. It's a great through ball across to Schneider, lovely through ball to Sailmakers, and the Belgian off the bench, along with Schneider, as our subs link up, make it 3. Schneider, I gotta say, man, he's off to an incredible start this season. And I keep on talking about Messi's regen and saying, how am I going to get this guy in the team more often? How am I going to get this guy more game time? Can we give some, like, props to Schneider as well? Like, the start he had to this season, he won us our 2 Super Cups at the start of the campaign. It wasn't Roberto. It wasn't Moyes. It wasn't Tillmans. It was Schneider that won the 2 Cups for us this season with the 2 late goals in extra time. And in this game, comes off the bench and then sets up 2 of our final 4. First for Sailmakers, and then gets Roberto his 14th goal of the young Serie A season thus far. Schneider is sitting there on the bench thinking, Gaffer, come on, mate, seriously, what am I doing wrong? But that's the problem. You see the reaction here, by the way. How cool was this? You know, we had back-to-back draws, a little bit of a tough couple of games for us there, in games we should have won. I love the reaction at full time from Roberto. Those sort of cinematics are so cool when they're warranted. You see the emotion. It's a 4-0 win. We thoroughly deserved it. Statistically, it was quite a routine game, but a massive celebration of knowing what it meant mentally, as opposed to just the points we got picked up as well. Back on track and back on track in style as well. But again, real briefly on Schneider, that's the problem at the moment. All of our best players are in the attacking positions, you know. I'm sitting there thinking about our defensive unit and thinking, I don't think Messina would feel begrudged that he barely gets a game. I don't feel Castaneda would be begrudged that he doesn't get a game, because they're good, but they're not great youth players, if you know what I mean. Whereas Schneider, Messi's regen, I mean, these guys sitting there thinking, we're young, we've got potential, we need game time, but at the moment, I just can't fit them into my system, because at the moment, whilst we're still invincible and still undefeated, we've only slipped up twice, and after the big win there against Cagliari, and starting off here at home to Atalanta with Roberto scoring a glorious chip for goal number 15 this season, I'm not going to change my system to accommodate Schneider and Messi's regen, regardless of how good they are, because at the moment, we're clicking, we're firing on all cylinders. And speaking of Sol Ramirez, he should have got his 3rd goal of the season there, running 1-on-1. It's a great save, to be fair, turn onto the roof of the net, and what was eventually a simple 1-0 win against Atalanta. So, yeah, I gotta say, you know, that big win against Cagliari there, certainly, I wouldn't say papered over some cracks, but this game against Atalanta, we got 2 good chances. We took one of them through Roberto, should have scored the other one. It was more of a defensive grind-out performance, that one. Although one thing you might be noticing is when I show you the stats come full time, you'll see that I'm, like, dominating possession in a lot of my games now, like 60% plus. I'm not changing my play style at all, but what I'm trying to do this season is get myself into leads early on in games, be in attack mode right from the very first whistle. And once I get like a 2, possibly 3 goal lead, I wouldn't say I ease off the pressure, but because we've got so much fixture congestion this year playing in the Champions League, lots of Serie A games coming for the winter break, the Coppa Italia would of course come around in January or February, I think it is. It's important to conserve energy, and the reason we haven't had injuries this season is because I make all of my free subs early as well, and of course in FIFA you can't play with 10 men, so once you've made your free subs you can't get a player injured. So I'm working more on controlling games now, you know, as opposed to being full throttle. I discussed it midway through last season. It was something I wasn't really doing very much, you know, just conserving energy and trying to sort of kill the game off with slow, patient passing football. That's kind of what I'm doing this season with Milan in the majority of our games. We'll take the early lead, we might go 2 goals up, and then after that, of course we'll look for more goals, don't get me wrong, we won't just sit on the goals we score, we'll go for more, but we'll prioritise more clear-cut chances over heavy counter-attacking football. 19 minutes to go in this game, leading by 2 against Bologna, scoring the early one through Timmermans, then Gutierrez getting yet another goal. And it was nice to see this as well, to be fair. Great camera angle too. Scamacca off the bench. First goal of the season for Scamacca. The guy, we signed him from Aston Villa last summer for 40 million. And the guy, I wouldn't say I feel sorry for him, but like, I mean, I was talking about Schneider and Sol not getting much game time. Scamacca gets a few minutes every few weeks, you know, because I can't drop Roberto. He's the captain. He's the star. So Scamacca's just sort of sat there on the bench every game thinking, is this my life now? Do you know what I mean? So, even so, 3 in the final score, big win there against Bologna. And there we go, despite the draw, we close out October still undefeated. But whilst Cagliari formed to pace a little bit, Juve is still only 3 points behind, and the champions Inter are only 5 points behind as well. So believe me, we've got this red hot start. 10 wins and 11. I think it's 32 or 33 goals already. We're averaging like 3 goals a game right now. As you see our fixtures for November, a big one there away against Spurs. Matchday 3 in the Champions League we kick off with at home to Benfica. And there's also Roma, our final game in November as well. In quite a big month for us this season, both domestically and in Europe as well. Yeah, it's been an amazing start for Milan, but I'm really liking the fact that we're not off to an unassailable lead. 10 wins and 11, and we're still only 3 points clear of second place. I like that. I really, really do. What I didn't want to do with this AC Milan side was dominate so early on. And you might sit there and think, well, 10 wins and 11 sounds pretty dominant. But you look at, again, Juve and Inter right behind us in the table. 3 and 5 points behind. They are not going to let us go. This could well easily be 3-team title race this season, all in great form throughout the course of the campaign. And honestly, I want it to be that way as well. If I want to win, I want to earn it. Do you know what I mean? Not just coast. I want to earn it with AC Milan. Last year it was so difficult just to win one trophy. This year again the board asking for another treble, which we fell short of last season catastrophically. Well, I like the pressure. I'm embracing it. It's what's making this FIFA career mode so fun. I've talked about it and I'll say it once again. The reason why I know you can tell I'm really enjoying this FIFA is because I'm feeling the challenge. And even like in seasons like this where I'm off to a red hot start, still unbeaten, still playing really well, it is still far from routine. I'm still having to grind out certain results like this one at home to Benfica, which finishes a 1-0 victory here against the Portuguese side. Callum Hudson-Odoi's early goal gave us a big win to make it 3 wins in 4 in the Champions League group stage and put us 1 win away. No, actually, do you know what? I think we have qualified now, haven't we? Is it qualification? I think it might have been. I'll see the group in a moment's time with you once I've done the interview. I think actually no, because Benfica will have the 3 points now. Is it 2 points now for Benfica? And obviously we've got the 10 now. So yeah, there we go. Qualification in the back. God, my maths is so horrible. How did I not realise that? Benfica had 2, we had 10. Of course, there we go. Qualification in the bag. And if we beat Spurs on match day 5, that will guarantee top spot as well. But yeah, real briefly, that's why I'm just loving this FIFA so much. Because even in seasons like this one, where we're still unbeaten, we've only drawn twice, I'm still far from dominating, either in the league and in Europe as well. We're only 1 point clear of Spurs in the Champions League group stage, despite having 3 wins in 4 games. So our 12th and final game of today's 30-minute thank you special, which I really hope you guys have enjoyed, is what I would hope would have been a banker at home against the side last season who I believe finished bottom of the Serie A, Salernitana at the San Siro. Recently again, whilst there have been a couple of games where I've been in cruise control, like against Bologna, like against Cagliari, might not have been playing my best football. What I really wanted to do was close out today's episode with a big win at the San Siro. We took the very early lead into the game, and then soon after that, 19 minutes in, it's a first goal of this season for Sandro Tonali. And I love the fact in our 4-2-3-1, Tonali's like the anchor man. You don't really see Sandro get very far forward in this team. He normally just sits back and protects the back line. That means that either Ravella or Ricky or Tielemans, whoever he's playing alongside, can be more of a box-to-box player and get forward on the offensive end. When Tonali does go forward, he does have the ability to create or score, which he did there to make it 2. And then 31 minutes in, it's Hudson-Odoi saying, look, I know everyone wants Messi's regen to get more game time, but come on, I've done nothing wrong, man. I've done nothing wrong. Gaffer can't drop me. It's 3-0 AC Milan, and then 40 minutes into the game, golden chance for Salernitana to get back in the game, but Mike, who's been very good this season, makes a great save at his near post, justifying that contract extension as he keeps it at 3-0. And in the second half, cruising to a 3-0 victory, a chance to make it 4. And we do so by rounding the goalkeeper. Yeah, I talked about it earlier. Don't do it very often in this year's FIFA. It's much harder to do nowadays. When it does come off, it looks really cool. Callum seats the goalkeeper down and pops it into the unguarded net to bag his brace. Final score, Milan 4, Salernitana 0. What I really liked about it was in one of the only games this season where Roberto didn't score a goal, we still managed to get 4. You might think after his red hot start, chasing the Serie A golden boot record, we're a one-man team. Far from it. Roberto might be the star, he might be the captain, he might be the hero, but the supporting cast this year in Milan are really picking up the slack. That's why 12 games in, around a third the way through, with 5 points clear of Inter and now 6 clear of Juventus, there's still a very long way to go. But after 11 wins in 12, only 3 goals conceded, Mike's on fire. We're off to a red hot start, and if it continues this way, we're going to be like Inter Milan last season, almost unstoppable. But that will end today's episode of Career Mode, guys, the special 30-minute thank you episode. And I just want to end today's episode by saying, seriously, thank you so much. You know, I say at the end of every single Career Mode episode I do, thank you so much love to you all. It's not a soundbite, it's not a catchphrase. I don't print it and put it on t-shirts for you to buy. I just mean it from the bottom of my heart. Without you guys, I can't do this. It really is as simple as that. So for a very weird, slightly emotional monologue to close out today's episode, without you guys, I would not be here on YouTube. Without you guys, I can continue doing YouTube. So whether you donate to my Patreon or not, whether you've been here for a long time or not, for being part of my journey on YouTube and being alongside me, thank you so much. I love you guys to pieces, and I really do mean that. So I really hope you enjoyed a special thank you episode. It took a long time to make, so if you could leave a like, I really do appreciate it. Regardless, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching the series, and 100 episodes down, and a lot more to go. Much love to you all, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.